like the next month was over 200,000. And that was really what changed the whole direction of the store.
And it's been very consistent for you. Like you've been getting new records every single month, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
And the next step is probably setting the brand. But yeah, let's.
From 50K to 150K per month, scaling all the way up to $2 million in sales with one single product in just under 2 years. That's what one of my top students, Rasmus, did with his brand ever since we started working together back in 2022. What's particularly crazy about his story is that his net profit margin never dropped below 20%. In this interview, we'll dive very deep into what specifically unlocked his huge growth, how he manages to keep things consistent, how he built his team, and a lot of other great stuff. Also, towards the end, he gives some very good advice to people who might be feeling stuck with their brand right now and don't know how to grow it further. So make sure you watch the whole thing.
Welcome, Rasmus. I'm very happy to have this interview with you. You've done some great stuff, not only e-commerce, but just purely as an entrepreneur. So thank you so much for being on the channel. And first of all, can you give us a quick introduction of yourself, your background, when you started dropshipping, and pretty much your entrepreneurial story so far?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Rasmus. I am 23 years old. I didn't have any, I basically started dropshipping back in 2022 by the end of the year. And before that, I didn't have any experience whatsoever in any kind of business actually. I was doing sales prior, so I had some kind of knowledge of sales in general, and I think that also benefited me a lot when I started my dropshipping journey. Yeah, so basically in the last, I would say, 15 months, I've been running a dropshipping brand. We recently crossed $2 million in revenue, and we are doing on average around 250 now a month. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. That's what I've been doing for the past year and a half now, pretty
Yeah,
much.
and it's been very consistent for you. Like you've been getting new records every single month, and it's
Yeah.
crazy. Uh, and the next step is probably setting the brand. But
Yeah.
yeah, let's have a separate video about it. But yeah, man, can you actually walk us through, how the first months were in drop shipping? How you found your product, like pretty much how you started.
Yeah, pretty much. I started out testing a few products. Nothing really worked for the first few months doing dropshipping. And then by early 2023, I found the winner and it was instantly working pretty much. And it was working for a while until ad fatigue came in and a lot of competitors came in and
Okay.
copycats in general. And then because in the beginning it was just a normal dropshipping store, it was not really branded or it didn't have this didn't have any competitive advantage over everybody else. Pretty much everybody could copy me.
Mm-hmm.
So around I think it was April, took a really big dip. And then we started to focus more on branding the whole thing and making this whole, yeah, pretty much transitioning from just general dropshipping to more of a brand feeling when customers enter the store and
Mm-hmm.
around the store, just the whole atmosphere around the product. And yeah, that was also a little bit later after that, around I think, because that really changed the game. Like that was where I like, went from 50K to 100
Mm-hmm.
or plus 100K a month on average, and then I would say a few months after that, that's where I quit my job. I think around 500K mark. That's where I transitioned to do it
Okay.
full time, and then with the extra time, we could really work on really scaling it really hard, and that's where things really
Yeah,
took
and
a
the results have
turn.
shown. Actually, like you were already doing some numbers when we started working together, but like what was the thing that really pushed you in like really, getting outside advice and like actually wanting to get mentorship? What was that reason? Like why did you go for that?
Because it was consistent, but I did have days where profits were low, and the I could just see because it was started good and the profit was just dropping. That was my
Yeah.
issue. The profit margin was getting slimmer and slimmer every month. So I couldn't really figure out what was happening and why that was happening other than the creatives. But that was just a minor part of the reasoning and why. That was not the
Hmm.
whole like that was pretty good with the creatives, but there was also a lot of other things internally and the backend on the store was the reasoning for the decline in profit
Yeah.
margins. So yeah, that's why I
So back
seeked
then,
other help for the store.
yeah. So back then you were like at the 30 to 50K mark, right? And you had like probably like around 15% profit
Yeah.
margins. So for you specifically, what was pretty much the thing that unlocked it all and like really, pushed you into that high level of scale that you were able to achieve and sustain for a very long time?
It was actually when we had a call. I remember this. It was a Friday in the summer, and we went over my KPIs more or less, like all my numbers, and you saw that the break-even ROAS was too high. And I never really tried to negotiate price. I just tried a little bit, but you told me to really negotiate prices, and that's what really, like I think, like I decreased the product cost with over 25% in 5 days, just because you told me to really try and lower it. And that was what really, like the next month was over 200,000. Like that was really what changed the whole direction of the store, because the profit margin just exploded. It decreased with 25%. You can imagine how much the profit margin increased from that. That was really crazy. So that was probably like you just the numbers. Somebody checked my numbers and saw what was actually wrong. That's where everything really changed.
Yeah, because you were so focused on your
Yeah.
creatives and you were so like dialed in on the script and like really making sure that the UGC is properly done and all that stuff. But you were just neglecting a very, obvious thing for me because everyone in the space is talking about creatives and offers and all the front end stuff, but the back end is just as important, right? So after you optimize your back end, like what was the difference in terms of margins, like if you know the number
Yeah.
specifically, and what did that allow you to kind of do in the long run?
Yeah, I mean, it was actually crazy. The next month after we optimized, we did over double profit. Like we doubled our profit basically from one month to the next. And it also allowed us to really stay on this high consistent level, because we don't really have to worry too much about our ROAS dropping, because the break-even ROAS is at a really healthy place now. Um, So I think it jumped from around 15 average. The next month was around a little over 25. Like it was a really big jump just by fixing the back end. It was insane, to say the least.
And you said that pretty much happened in the
Mhm.
summer. I'm quite curious with like a lot of people, are complaining about CPMs and cost per clicks during Q4, and that being a very big reason why they can't scale to like very high numbers. Was that also the case for you? How did Q4 turn out for you? Or like first Q4 and then like we can compare the second Q4.
Yeah.
But like it's always, cool to compare between different years,
Yeah.
right? So I'm wondering how was first Q4 for you and how was it last
We
year?
we only had the first Q4. It was actually last year, the first Q4 we had the product running. Um, and I mean we could, because it's quite low ticket, so when the CPMs increased, we could feel it pretty much instantly. But because we had such a diverse amount of creatives and different angles, and also holiday themed creatives, as you told me to create, we were it was still pretty good and nicely profitable. A little bit lower than normal, just because of the increase in CPCs and the CPMs.
So scaling looks quite easy and quite fun on paper, right? But like you run into a lot of, different challenges when scaling. And at least for me, when I'm scaling brands, you just tap into different source of problems, right? Like problems never really go out. What were those problems for you when you were scaling up? What challenges did you face when in the initial scaling phase? And what challenges are you facing now as you have like a more established brand?
In the beginning, it was basically just getting, like, I didn't have any systems for getting content and new creatives and having a nice flow of new things going out every single week. That was the biggest challenge in the beginning. And also having like customer service and stuff was really rough in the beginning, because I was
Hmm.
having my brother doing it for a long time, and that was not ideal because there was a lot of tickets. So that was pretty much in the beginning, but really after now, like after I have a lot of system in place with creatives and editors and customer service agents, I don't really have too much of any challenges now after everything, like after all the systems were in place. It doesn't really have too much other than some Facebook bullshit once in a while. Like it's always
Yeah,
happens, but that's the only things you face sometimes.
yeah. I mean, I definitely see the biggest challenge here being, getting the best investor out there to give you the highest valuation for your brand,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Probably, yeah.
Um, yeah, that's cool. But yeah, you mentioned the team. So can you like walk us through how your team looks like? Like I've had multiple big breakdowns on the channel, but like you're very good at delegating stuff. So as you mentioned, you already have video editors and all those things. Can you like elaborate exactly on your organization chart and like walk us through?
Yeah, so basically we are keeping the team slim right now. We are now building it more aggressively. But basically what we have is customer service agents, and then I have one, like I have two customer service agents, and then I have one basically that's like managing them a little bit, keep making sure
Mm-hmm.
everything is nice and taken care of. And then I have a video editor who basically edits. Like I make a Trello each week, and he knows what he has to do, and he just finishes them, and then that's pretty much it. For in terms of content, I still do a little bit talking with the creators and stuff, but I pretty much have systems in place where they get new, fresh things to create every single week. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they get an email every Monday, and then they create throughout the week, and I get it Friday, and then the editor edits over the weekend, and that's pretty much how the flows goes right now.
Can you like describe the feeling of your first hire as like hiring an agent compared to hiring a manager and how that felt? Because at least for me, that was a big shift. So like, what was the difference in hiring your first manager between compared to hiring your first agent?
I mean, I remember the first time we hired someone. I think it was easier because I got the person recommended, but it was still weird to give that kind of away for me. Because I really like
Yeah.
to be in touch with every single thing of the business. It's really hard for me to make somebody else do something that's in my business. So the first time was pretty weird the first few weeks, but now it's nice every time you hire someone new because you can feel the
Mm.
time you get back. Like you can actually feel it.
Yeah.
You can like it's like the air gets nicer when you breathe. Like you feel a bit less stressed because you know that somebody else is doing those tasks. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much what I would say is the main difference.
And are you giving like a lot of responsibility to your team and to your like managers, or you're still very involved in the processes, like really making sure that everything flows smoothly?
I think I'm a little bit still too much involved actually. Um,
Hmm.
but I enjoy it, so it's pretty hard to give away too
Yeah.
much. But I'm working on building a team so everything is pretty much. Uh, I don't really have to do much with this brand, so I can focus on building new ones. I really like to have a few brands going, so I'm trying to have as
Hmm.
much outsourced to people I trust, and building a team that I trust will care not as much as me about my business, but at least close enough. Um,
But I mean, better than an agency, right?
yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Um, so like, can you like run us through the numbers a little bit more in detail? Like those $2 million that you generated, were they all from one product, from several products? How did that go?
Yeah, it's pretty much one product. Like we really, I think because you told me once when I was starting with the whole brand feeling that I had to build like a community around the product. So like having a bunch of people talking about it and stuff. And now this type of product, like I don't know what the word in English is, but like when you say the product, it's basically my brand name. Like it's pretty much like the same
Yeah.
thing. so yeah, it's only one product, and we have tried to make a few different variations of it, but nothing really worked as good as the first one because it actually is a really good product. So yeah,
Yeah,
all 2 million from the same product.
great stuff. Like that's amazing. And your margin, like it hasn't dropped much ever since,
No,
right?
no,
Because usually what happens is like your margins drop, your CPA goes up. Like it's completely normal because the product gets
yeah,
exhausted. But like since you have this amazing experience for your customers, it's still high,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Still, we are right now in this month. We're actually doing really good. We're doing 25% this month. But
Mm-hmm.
normally it's around 20%, a little over 20%. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it's pretty healthy, and that's with everything covered, like everybody in the team and product cost and stuff. So pretty healthy
Yeah,
margins.
because usually what happens is like most people that are, in the low numbers are, expecting to like keep the margins pretty much the
Mm,
same. But like with higher revenue brands, the margin of course drops. You hire people, all those things. So like the average profit margin for a seven-figure brand is actually like more like
yeah.
15%. So you're doing like over average
Mm.
numbers. So what is the plan for growing the brand? Like, are you planning to expand the team? Do you want to launch on new markets? What's on the plate for that specific
It's
brand?
actually quite funny you asked this because this was my questions I had for here today, actually. Um, I want to launch them in Europe, launch the product in Europe, and build
Mm-hmm.
teams for the specific countries, of course, at some point. But I want to test them out in Europe
Mm-hmm.
because I haven't really seen too many people scale this product or similar product in those countries. So I actually think it could be quite good also with my knowledge about like what works in terms of creators and stuff that to try and scale them up in some European countries. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty much
100%. Like,
the plan.
yeah, I mean, now that you've scaled a single product to like such great numbers and you have all the content, and of course it's custom, so like no one can steal it, you could just get into the European markets and freaking dominate them. Of course, if you do it correctly. But like once you have all those assets by your side, it's just so much easier to compare to, having to pick up a new product and doing the research and sourcing your creators and potentially, getting the MCAs if you use somebody else's content. So yeah, I mean, it's been a great journey, man. Like not everybody is as dedicated to like really putting in the consistent effort every single day, and it's just a testament of what's possible with just a single product, with just nothing crazy in terms of product design or custom product
Mm.
whatsoever, but just since because you built that great brand mode, you're you're able to just control your market.
Exactly, exactly. And also having when you first build that kind of brand feeling around it and having a consistent flow of creatives every single week, you're pretty much unstoppable. Like you can get to insanely
Yeah,
high
it's game
numbers.
over. So just in general, like, what is your, you know, mm, how have your goals changed as a entrepreneur and in general as a person since you started off this journey?
Yeah, I remember I when I started, I actually joined or started dropshipping. I have written down in my notes. I wanted to within a year make 20K profit.
Okay.
And wait, I made a little bit more than that in the first year. Uh, but yeah, I feel like I just want to. I like the whole idea of building brands and having like selling products that people actually enjoy and just providing a good experience when people are shopping online. That's pretty much what I enjoy to do. And then now,
Mm-hmm.
within the next few years, I really want to do 8 figures, build some more brands, have a few brands running in some different niches, um, and just have a whole automated team that's testing new products consistently every single week. So we can keep a consistent flow of winning products and building brands that way. That's really that's my goal for the next 12 months at least.
And like, are you still like, desiring material stuff or any, purchases? Because like, let's be honest, most of the job shippers, wanna show off, have a cool watch, have a cool car, and all that
Yeah.
stuff. I wonder what's the thing for you that drives you? Is it just being a master of the game and building more and more brands and like building the whole portfolio, or what is it?
Yeah, in the beginning it was actually to make money. That was the whole idea behind it, to get some Rolexes and some nice cars and stuff like that. But it's weird after you start to make your first money and you actually enjoy doing it. You don't really care for that kind of stuff. I haven't, by the 2 million in revenue, I haven't even bought anything like crazy. Every profit is still in the company, ready to reinvest. I don't really, yeah, I don't really care for that anymore. Like in the same way, I just like to make money, basically. I just enjoy the whole idea of,
The
of,
whole
of
process.
going up in numbers.
Yeah, and there's no doubt like why you pretty much stick to the thing and make it grow so much because you always reinvested in the company. And every time we spoke, I was like, how's life now? How's life now? And you were like almost the same. Like I'm keeping everything in the company, trying to grow it.
Yeah.
So imagine you were back in 22, and you were still testing things out, still not reaping great profits. What would you tell to your younger self that was in this position?
The only thing I really find is a valid answer to this is get help and really listen. I remember in the beginning when I started to get help, right? I just got help, but I didn't really listen to the help. Like I didn't really take it too serious. So the best thing is to get help and really listen to the help. That's gonna take a lot of time and a lot of errors off your hands. So yeah, that's my greatest advice to myself.
So what made a difference? Like, why didn't you listen in the first like I don't know program or coaching you had, and then what made you like really make this shift in the second one?
I mean, in the beginning, you kind of be a little bit arrogant until you have enough failures to understand you that you're not good. Um, and then yeah, if you find somebody you can trust, it makes everything a lot easier.
So like in our program specifically, what made you trust us? What was the most useful thing, and like how did we contribute to your overall success?
Yeah, I just mean like you and Michael, both of you. I don't know what specifically made me trust you guys. It was just the whole. I think your whole persona, like your whole both personalities, just seemed trustworthy. Like it seemed that you were honest about everything you said and were honest about why you wanted to help. Um and also you had results to show off that it was actually factual, like it was not just something you said. I think that was the reasoning why it was easier to listen and take action of the things you were told then.
So like the intangible stuff was kind of more like important for you,
Mm.
right? But like just based on the skills that you've developed and the structure of the program, how did you find that? What was like the just in terms of like hard skills, what are the most important things that you learned?
The whole concept of marketing actually, and what makes a good offer and what makes good creators. I think that's probably the best skill I've learned and the most valuable skill. Because I'm very confident, even though if everything crashed, let's not jinx it, but let's say everything crashed, I'm very confident that I can replicate something like this now. At least in the same niche, maybe not a niche, maybe a little bit more difficult. But in the same niche, I'm very confident that I have the skills now to replicate something like this again. So that's by far the best
100%, yeah.
valuable skill.
100%, because like the stuff that we're teaching is just actually the
Mm.
fundamentals. The fundamentals to a very deep extent. Nothing fancy because like fancy strategies come and go, but we're gonna continue focusing on the fundamentals, continue scaling brands, continue like pushing the boundaries, more and more. Um, but is there, something that you would, say to a guy who's, on the fence, doing like 20, 30K a month, like not really, knowing where he's going, trying to optimize things, but things are not really, working out. Profits are very low in terms of margin, and he's pretty much confused on, how to take his brand to the next level.
Okay, I would actually say that if you get some help from someone who knows what they're doing, you will instantly make your investment back, even though if it's like no matter what the cost is, if you have a product that's actually good and you have a brand that's actually scalable, um, if you get some outside help from people who have done it before and has the knowledge of what to do, you will instantly make your money back. Like it will be night and day in your business if somebody with knowledge of what to do in certain situations that has done it before themselves, and it just
And
makes everything better.
yeah, man. Thank you so much for all the insights. Again, congratulations on your huge growth that you had
Thanks.
through the years. One of the most, disciplined e-commerce entrepreneurs that I know out there. Great, great success story so far, and I hope to see you cracking the eight figures mark.
Thank you, man. I'm looking forward to it as well. Gonna be crazy.
So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, give me a sub, comment, share, all that good stuff, and as always, keep crushing it.